Yes, another unprecedented season, all the way from the beginning to, I guess, to the third quarter here, or part of the way through the fourth quarter. Um, yeah, a lot of take home messages this year, from south to north. I guess just big picture, you look at the southern corn belt all the way through the deep south. Some areas got planted timely. Several areas just absolutely got drenched with rain. And just the amount of corn acres in the deep south certainly aren't what they were planned to be several months ago before planting. Of course, as we come north, some areas were just fine. The eastern corn belt, I mean, Ken pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Um, it was a two or three different stories planting season. There were some areas able to plant that first 3 weeks of April, and others just kept getting rain, like southern Illinois, central Illinois, and my goodness, it was the first week of June before I think Champaign, Illinois got planted, and some of those areas. But yeah, you go west, and we're seeing a real nice crop in Missouri over those hills, and even into Kansas, and sounds like Nebraska is looking real nice, and of course unprecedented as you get into the Dakotas and Minnesota, the amount that they were able to have planted right there by May 1, pretty phenomenal. So I do believe, we've got a agronomy team, about 15, 16 agronomists that run around the country all summer long. And, when you look at yield predictions clear back the end of June, is pretty significant. We had a couple guys that were even into the 180s. And, seeing the Pro Farmer Tour last week, I think 175 and a half. And I think USDA's got us pegged right now at 180. Let's see, high 170s, 181.8.
181 something, I think, in their August
Yeah.
12th report. Yeah, it was it. If we hit it, it was going to be a new record yield average.
So, it looks like trend line is pretty darn close in that 178, 179 range. Um, I guess one take home message that we just cannot overlook. I mean, I know everybody wants that perfect stand, that perfect picket fence stand. And, the first 2 to 3 weeks of April, when there was so much planting going on in the Midwest, the soil was dry. And we were certainly advocating, if you're in dry dirt, you're in tiled ground, go ahead and put it in the ground, because you could see that trend of that weather temperature pattern it was coming. It was almost like putting seed in the refrigerator. And it's not like we were putting it in the ground in front of 6, 8, 10 inches of rain, of cold rain. So very interesting spring. And I know throughout stands that they weren't 100%. However, there was a lot of stands that were pretty darn close to 100%. In the mid South and Midwest, we saw 95%, 95 to 98%, and through the northern corn belt north of I-80 and up into Minnesota. Seems like they had more Pythium this year than they have for a while, but still overall, I think ended up with pretty nice stands. But the take home message from early planting is I just see somebody in Southeast Michigan said we had excellent stands. Awesome. Thanks for that comment. I think one take home message: early planting, it is so forgiving, so forgiving. And we see this from year to year when we get this opportunity. There's less disease pressure. Corn can lay in the ground longer versus seems like Mother's Day weekend, folks. That is just usually a bad time to plant. take your wife, take your mom out for a big weekend that weekend every year. And, you know, you can plant corn, it lays in the ground for 3 or 4 days, and next thing you know, it's rotten. And you plant it April the 5th, April the 8th, and they can lay there for 35 days. We saw corn lay in the ground for 35 days. Phenomenal. But, you know, the thing about it is we experience a lot deeper root systems. You know, we have a tendency to drive down the road and, you know, across the country, we look out over these fields and we go to the coffee shop and say, boy, the corn just isn't growing much. It's just not growing. It's taking in sunlight. It's growing a lot more underground than what you think. If you get out and you get your shovel out, you find that out. And a deep root system creates such forgiveness the rest of the season, especially whenever we get into some real dry Junes. I think, you know, what we're seeing out there across the board, let's say you had a 95, 98% stand planted early April. Maybe you waited till mid to late May to plant and got 100% stand. One thing that we're seeing across the country, anywhere from 2 to 4 rows less on the later planted corn than what we are on the early planted corn. And really think that's probably due to several factors. You know, when you think about it, when that row determination is taking place at that, you know, the V5 to V6, V7 time frame, your days are so long. You've got long days right then, and really good GDU accumulation. Just everything is in good shape. But anyway, that's kind of what we're seeing across the board right now. I think the later corn is going to be good. I think I just think it's a really nice corn crop from north to south, east to west.
Yeah. Got a question here, just a second. If I can interject. We got a question from Kentucky. When do you think the best time to plant corn would be in northeastern Kentucky?
Northeast Kentucky. Well, that's about 50 miles straight south of my house. So this year, I would have said about April 1 to April 8th would have been perfect time. Yeah, I think bottom line is if it's dry, you know, you've got a good outlook. Certainly that first week of April is, you know, if outlook looks good, that's a good time to get out there. But yeah, you know, certainly want to say our hearts from AgriGold go out to those folks in Iowa and northern Illinois there. Wow, what a tragedy. You know, hopefully they can get through this and move on. I know a lot of people have asked us. We've got production there in Ogden, Iowa, and they were hit a little bit. I know there's a lot of production through that country. You know, probably I know ourselves, we were hit about 25%. You know, with our seed production through there, but you know, we're still trying to evaluate. You know, a lot of those female rows will still pop back up. Hopefully, won't be impacted too much. But anyway, certainly a lot of things are impacted out there. Yeah, you know, just like Ken, we're seeing disease different degrees across the country. You know, it seems like southern rust, the scare has been, or let's just say the bark has been worse than the bite. You know, if that makes any sense. We've, of course, we've seen southern rust coming up through from the deep south and on up into the Ohio River Valley and Mississippi River Valley. Probably more southern rust in northern Illinois than what there is in southern Indiana. Of course, we are seeing great things from these new fungicides out there. I know the Travapro out there is doing a nice job. This new Veltima out there is doing a real nice job as well. So, you know, hats off to those folks for coming up with some nice products for southern rust. But, you know, as far as detriment to the crop moving north. Just got to keep an eye on it. Our recommendation to folks is, when it starts getting above that ear leaf, even if you're 2 to 3 weeks away from black layer, keep an eye on it. The crop's not made until black layer. I don't want to put scare into folks, but I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when we first had our first bout with Southern Rust, we were pulling the trigger 2 weeks before black layer, and we saw significant yield preservation. I don't want to call it yield gain because the yield was already there. Yield preservation. So anyway, tar spot, I will say we're doing some work with Ken's counterpart, Missy Bauer, up there in the northern part where she travels in Michigan, northern Indiana, doing a nice little study with her. And Physoderma, Ken mentioned Physoderma. Seems like nationwide we haven't seen Physoderma quite as bad this year as what we have the previous 2. Now you can get into certain pockets, just like I'm located in southwest Indiana, and Ken's located there, Hayworth, Illinois. He's probably had, we were talking earlier, he's probably had 10 to 15 inches more rain on small corn than what we've had here where we're at. So he's probably seeing a lot more. But anyway, I think it's a pretty nice crop out there. So I guess I'll just kind of move on from that.